Because, really, can we trust either man? No. You talked about him being an unwitting Russian asset.
Time and the place. This was the time and the place for the president to look Putin squarely in the eye and said, you will be punished for what you did in 2016 and don't ever think about doing that again.
But he didn't. And that's what made it disgusting. That's what made his performance disgusting. I'm sorry, it's just the only way I feel. It's not a right or left thing to me. It's just wrong. A U.S. president on foreign soil talking to our biggest enemy or adversary or competitor, I don't know how we define them these days, is essentially letting the guy get away with this and not even, offering a mild criticism. That sets us back a lot.
You have been watching perhaps one of the most disgraceful performances by an American president at a summit in front of a Russian leader, certainly that I've ever seen. An extraordinary press conference. Christian, the president, given the opportunity, asked by a reporter, an American reporter, who he trusted on the issue of Russian meddling, the U.S. intelligence community or Vladimir Putin, he blinked and he went to Hillary Clinton's email server, asked who was responsible. He says, I hold both countries responsible. I think we are all to blame. We have a chance to do some great things. Made no mention of Georgia, shoot down of a Malaysian plane, Crimea, Ukraine, and election interference. In fact, he went on to say all he can do is ask the question about election interference, that Vladimir Putin was very powerful in his denial of it. And the president went on to say he doesn't see any reason why it would have been Russia who interfered in the election.
I think that was the nut graph.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
No, and it's a struggle to put it all together, isn't it? And to comprehend what we just heard. I mean, I've never heard an American president talk that way, but I think it's especially true that when he's with someone, like Putin, who is a thug, a world-class thug, that he sides with him again and again against his own country's interests, his own institutions that he runs, that he's in charge of the federal government, he's in charge of these intelligence agencies. And he basically dismisses them, and he retreats into this. We've heard this again and again, but on an international stage, to be talking about Hillary's server and it's embarrassing. Brilliant campaign is embarrassing.
Brennan, who was CIA director for Barack Obama, tweeted, why did Trump meet one-on-one with Putin? What might he be hiding from Bolton, Pompeo, Kelly, and the American public? So a question there from John Brennan, although it's interesting, George. Barack Obama actually did meet one-on-one with Putin as well. It was a much briefer encounter. It was in September of 2016, and it was when he directly confronted Putin on the evidence they were just beginning to see that the Russians were attempting to interfere with the U.S. election. So it has happened, and President Trump from time to time does meet one-on-one. He met, of course, as you remember, with Kim Jong-un one-on-one as well.
Yeah, that was a famous picture, of course, the president looking sternly at Vladimir Putin. Of course, President Obama also canceled a summit with Vladimir Putin back in 2013 after Russia was protecting Edward Snowden and his revelations.
The shadow of the election from 2016 hangs over this. It looms large here, George, as you know. One of the reasons that Vladimir Putin went after Hillary Clinton in the way that he did, and the Russians intervened in the way that they did, the meddling, the indictments that we saw on Friday, had a lot to do with Hillary Clinton standing up to Vladimir Putin about fair and free elections back in 2011, if you remember the protests in Russia. And Vladimir Putin never really got over that. He pointed a lot of the blame to Hillary Clinton for speaking out about that.
Right, and that's why our intelligence agencies concluded that at the beginning, Vladimir Putin decided he wanted to hurt Hillary Clinton. They discovered as they got close to the election that Donald Trump might actually have a chance to win, and they moved into aggressively trying to help him.
David Gergen is right. It's almost hard, all of us speak for a living, to put into words what we just saw and how astonishing it is. I also just want to say, Anderson, beforehand you were questioning whether either of these men would go after a free press. They didn't, and I think I know we saw a prime example of how we need a free press and what a free press can do.
I mean, the president, it was surreal to me, Anderson. I mean, the president is standing on the world stage next to Vladimir Putin, and he is not blaming him for the things his intelligence agencies have told him that he's done. I mean, Can't believe it.
I think, yeah. Certainly, the president calls the reporters the enemy of the American people. As an American citizen, I just personally think today is just an incredibly depressing moment in our time, in our history as an American. Former CIA Director John Brennan just tweeted, and I quote, Donald Trump's press conference performance in Helsinki rises to and exceeds the threshold of high crimes and misdemeanors. It was nothing short of treasonous. Not only were Trump's comments imbecilic, he is wholly in the pocket of Putin. Republican patriots, where are you? And that is a very good question, is what are Republicans on Capitol Hill, a co-equal branch of government, what are they going to be saying about